What is up, everybody? I am your host, the Ace, and I'm joined by my good friend and longtime co-host. We've been doing this now for what, 2 years at this point?
Been about 2 years, yeah.
We're gonna have to do like a flashback where we look back at some of our moments. Go ahead, introduce yourself, sir.
Carlos Caribbean Cool.
Carlos. Wait a minute. Wait, we need to redo that. You're Carlos Caribbean Cool. You're not Carlos Caribbean Cool. Come on, who are you?
Carlos Caribbean Cool. I don't know.
Carlos, ready? From New York City, Carlos Caribbean Cool.
Cool.
Yes. Carlos, thank you for joining me here tonight, and thank you for everyone for checking us out. You are checking out our WWE SmackDown recap from August 12th, 2022. They're live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I can't believe we're already in almost the middle of August. Summer is almost over.
It's been hot. It's been a very hot summer though.
Hot summer. A lot of stuff kicking things off. And speaking of
literally, and stuff in WWE too. It's been very hot past couple months.
Very hot. And don't
like 2020, like 2022, the whole year of 2022 in wrestling's been crazy.
It's been crazy. I did that whole little thing. I think I sent you that thing that someone posted a meme on Facebook that I shared, basically covering everything that happened from January to July in pro wrestling.
It started with that terrible Royal Rumble match to now with Triple H head of creative.
For a lot. So we do have a special episode. Carlos is going to be answering trivia questions. And then I do have a special announcement to make later on. So we got a very fun special episode for you guys today. But speaking of hot, we kick off this week's episode of SmackDown with the first round women's tag team titles tournament. And Raquel Rodriguez, she is God's gift to the world at this point. Her and Aliyah are teaming up to take on Xia Li and Shotzi. And I decided to do some little research on today's episode, and I found out that, fun fact, Kenny Dykstra from the Spirit Squad, former Spirit Squad member, actually produced this match. So
he works for the company still?
Yeah, he produces for WWE.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Revealing the producers for the matches too, but yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah,
getting shit on to writing stuff. So
the last time I saw him was like in 2016, I think, when he was with the Dolph Ziggler and Miz thing. That's what we're talking about, right? That's from the Spirit Squad.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, I was just getting a drink as you were talking. Yes, yep, you are exactly correct. Did you get my whole shit on? Because there was a segment back in 2006 where the Spirit, you've seen it, Spirit Squad, Vince and Shayna.
Oh, DX, yes. Like, but yes. Oh yeah, that was that real?
No, I don't think so. It's probably like chocolate pudding, but it looked very real. I don't know what it was. Yeah. But anyways, we see Natalya and Sonya Deville watching at ringside. They are going to be competing next week in the tag titles tournament match, and
Natalya needs to go.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about her in a minute. Here are some notes. Raquel crossbodies Aliyah onto both women. And then Raquel and Shotzi actually attack both Natty and Sonya at ringside, sending Natty and Sonya backstage. Xia Li with a kick to Aliyah, and then Aliyah nails a neck breaker. Shotzi nails, Raquel with a fallaway slam, and then a spinning flying elbow drop, and that gets a 2. Shotzi nails a sliced bread to Raquel Rodriguez, and that gets a 2 count. And then the end comes after Aliyah spared Shotzi, and Raquel nails a Tijuana bomb to Xia Li, and Raquel and Aliyah are moving on to the women's tag team tournament match. What do you think of these two as a tag team? A lot of these teams were just randomly formed, but you saw them in action. What do you have to say about Raquel and Aliyah? They move on.
They have good chemistry together. You know, like they got the big strong one, and they got the more like faster, the smaller. But like one thing I want to say about Raquel, she needs to stop with the whole smiling all the time. It's kind of doesn't fit her. I feel like she needs to go back to her like old NXT days like just kicking ass. Like I don't know, it's like whole like all smiling all the time. Women, yeah, happy Raquel. I don't. It doesn't. I've seen her stuff in NXT, and nah, this doesn't fit her at all.
Yeah, I agree.
She was like badass in NXT with that song, and like she was like just beating people's asses. Like that's the Raquel that I like, that I remember.
I'm more of an anti-hero person, so I agree with you. I'd rather.
But the match was good. They did what it needed to do. The right team won. I don't think they're gonna win the whole tournament, but yeah.
I mean, they might. You have a former NXT Women's Champion. What do you think about, speaking of that, about them mentioning NXT a lot more? They mentioned that Raquel and was it? Yeah, they mentioned that Raquel was a former NXT Women's Champion in the match. So what do you think about that?
I mean, they should. I mean, that's part of their company, right? NXT, like, it's part of WWE. Why not?
I agree. I always think it's silly that they never, like, that's one thing that I'm so glad they're not doing anymore. NXT exists, so it's like when they brought over Asuka, when they brought over all these people, it's like their streaks didn't matter. Asuka was undefeated for a long time at NXT, and then she comes up to WWE, she's undefeated for a bit, and gets beat by Charlotte, and it's like that whole thing that she did in NXT didn't matter. I like that now. What happens in NXT matters, and I like that. And what a fucking finisher. That Tijuana bomb, it's one of my favorite moves right now.
Yeah,
The one arm, boom. And I also heard that rumors that her boyfriend or fiance, Braun, might be showing up.
Oh shit, really? Is he like signed? Is he like signed somewhere?
There's a lot of rumors. I don't know. There's just a lot of talks about how Triple H wants Braun. And
Braun would be a huge pickup. He's very good for a big man. Move around like a fucking cruiserweight.
He sure does.
I'll never forget that match against Big Show that he had on Raw when he did the kip up. And then Big Show was like, "What the fuck?"
And he's like, "Yo, this guy's the same size as me, but he's like killing me."
Big Show also returned at that time with being great shape. That's the thing.
Big Show, man. Those are the days. So Karrion Kross and Scarlett are seen backstage, and Kross says that the rebirth of a darkened soul is happening. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, you two are the chosen ones. It must be nice. For us, we were cast out of paradise to be forgotten, but we never forgot.
Do you think like when he said that line, he was like talking about the release?
Oh yeah. He says
for sure, right? Definitely.
Oh yeah. We waited for the perfect time to strike vengeance. With time in the end, everyone pays a toll. Tick tock. Okay, sorry. So what would you're asking if I think that was a line directed towards
that line, like trying to like a little thing like towards their release, right?
Yeah, cast out of paradise, forgot, like you guys are gone, and no one, I don't really.
He said something like broken toy or something. Or forgotten. Yeah. I love those promos. He's back to his like normal self, and then Scarlett, like just like her presence is like perfect.
Scarlett is just amazing, man. I can get lost in her.
Yeah, I know. I didn't really pay attention to him. I was watching her though.
Yeah, that's that whole Jerry Lawler thing that I love saying it to every co-host.
Jerry's such a pervert though. No, Jerry's a fucking pervert.
Jerry goes, I'm gonna say it just like him. You would notice Karrion Kross over Scarlett.
You'll say the puppies.
The puppies. Speaking of someone though, Dory notices this guy for sure. Drew McIntyre. Dory's my fiance, and she really likes Drew. He comes down to the ring, and Drew says it's an exciting time in WWE. And he says, I was jumped from behind by Karrion Kross last week. The man has been waiting for a year. He goes, but here is the and he attacks the number one contender from behind and goes after the champion. He goes, the problem is the number one contender you left in the dust was Drew McIntyre. And he goes, my hands are full right now, but when I'm done with Roman Reigns, I'm going to give you 3 options. I forgot the first option. The second option was hospital or graveyard. Drew says, Reigns isn't here. He goes, and, Reigns believes his own hype. In your last 2 matches with Brock Lesnar, Reigns, it took your whole family to beat him. Me, I beat Brock with my bare hands. The island of relevancy isn't real. And then Karrion Kross's music comes on, and Scarlett walks out, and she gets in the ring, and
I thought that was kind of weird.
that was
But
weird.
yeah, like why is she coming out by herself? You know?
She comes out and she stands on the apron, and she starts talking to Drew, and then from behind the undisputed tag team champions, the Usos, attack Drew. Drew fights back, but he's met with super kicks and a 1D. And the Usos tell Scarlett to tell Kross that this is their place and Reigns will take him out. And Scarlett replies, tell Reigns the same thing. So, and then she leaves. So we have a situation here where you have two options. Either A, this was planned, Usos were going to attack, Scarlett knew, or B, Scarlett's being added to the mix of this, meaning that it looks like Kross wants to convert himself into this match, it seems. And right now, Kross is playing complete mind games, even with the Usos. These guys are usually on top, but they're left scratching their heads wondering, what is that? Most people usually, cower in fear when, they think of Reigns and the bloodline, all that stuff. But we ain't got none of that with Karrion Kross or Scarlett. But let's talk about that. What did you think of that segment and, them taking out Drew and Scarlett getting involved? And everyone, it seems like Kross has his eyes on everybody.
It was a good segment. I enjoyed it. I was head scratching, like, why is Scarlett coming out on her own, But then, like, as you explained it just now I get it more and more, little by little.
Yeah, I think also with NXT, the character Scarlett would always come out kind of on her own. She would do she'd come out and put the hourglass on the apron, or she'd walk out. I remember one time he was supposed to fight in contract. Yeah, his contract signing, and she came out alone. So he does a lot for kind of mind game purposes. But yeah, it was a good segment for sure. We then get a promo for the Intercontinental Championship, which it was great to see how many people have held that title, and I like how Triple H is making these titles mean something again in my eyes. But we now have our next match. Kofi Kingston taking on Ivar with Eric, and Jason Jordan produced this segment and match. Jason Jordan, former member of American Alpha, Kurt Angle's son. So before the match starts, Kofi Kingston attacks the Viking Raiders behind with kendo stick shots, and then Viking Raiders are able to toss their shield in the face of Kofi, and they attack Kofi on stage. Eric runs Kofi's face into the shield again, and then Eric drags Kofi's body to the middle of the stage, and Ivar jumps off the railing and delivers a splash to Kofi's lifeless body. These Viking Raiders aren't playing with Kofi. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I like how they're having Kofi go singles, but I feel like they're just little by little going away, having a New Day vanish, But the Viking Raiders, I like their new style and stuff. They're good.
It's hard, but it's cool to cheer for Vikings, but if you want to believe that they're pillaging and all that shit, you kind of have to do that, But speaking of booing, Sami Zayn is backstage and he knocks on Roman Reigns' door, and the Usos come out, and Sami says, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and Drew McIntyre runs up. Sami runs for his life. Drew attacks the Usos, lays them out, and he says, every time you get involved in my situation, you're gonna get your asses kicked. What do you think of that? That was very uncensored and off the wall.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, how dramatic he got his payback,
Yeah, quick too. It wasn't a matter of 25, 30 minutes. He's not playing with these guys. Drew looks strong here, and Sami, of course, Sami is definitely going to come and play down the line with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, for sure.
Where I could even see it being a Reigns versus Zayn match at a Rumble. Not that I would want it.
Oh, that's the thing.
What?
They already had a match, didn't they?
I don't think so.
Remember Roman dominated him? Remember that one match with Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, but that's that's not
I don't
really.
think
You
cancel
know,
on.
I think they could do. I think with the storyline now, people would care more about that match. I think they would give it more than they would back in whenever it was that they had it. If they do this whole storyline where it's like Sammy is trying everything to kiss ass and he's not getting respected, he's gonna get pissed. He's gonna eventually say enough is enough. Everybody does. When you get stepped on, eventually you say enough is enough, and that's happening. And we'll get there. We then have two jobbers in the ring. I didn't even hear their names. And this was produced by Shane Helms, aka the Hurricane. We have the return of Hit Row, Ashanti Adonis, and B-Fab. Of course, Carlos Griffey Cole mentioned earlier that off the air that Isaiah Swerve Strickland, or Scott in WWE, as people know him, he was the leader of this group, and I forgot about it. But it is good to see Hit Row back. And Dalla is in complete control. He nails a shoulder tackle, a running knee in the corner, and then Ashanti nails a face buster, and then Dalla with the slam to both men, and then Hit Row nailed their heavy hitter finisher and get the 3. After the match, each man grabs the mic and says something, and B-Fab pretty much sums it up by saying, "We are the OG3. If you didn't know, now you know." So what do you think about a Hit Row returning? Are you happy to see them come back?
Yeah, that really happened. I wasn't expecting that at all. Just one thing I want to add in. So apparently, Top Dollar was never. I mean, he was released, but like they brought him back. He's been working on the A&E documentaries, and then he was working like at the time like with Vince. Like he was working on the A&E documentary. So he apparently like wasn't really like. I mean, I guess he was released, but like I guess they brought him back for that. But I guess like once Triple H took control, they had him wrestle again. But yeah, that's what I read.
I gotcha. Well, it's good that he's back in the ring for sure. It's good to see that.
Yeah.
So good for that. We then get Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser backstage, and Gunther tells Caleb Braxton to tell Shinsuke he's facing the ring. Da-da-da. Cool. All right, so we're gonna talk about our next.
What?
He says the ring instead of ring general.
Hey, Dada.
Says that weird. It's like my version's like a Vince McMahon. We're gonna cover the next segment, then we're gonna take a quick break, and I'll tell you what's gonna happen when we come back. But we're watching Raw, and again, an uncensored moment, unsurprising moment happens. Ronda Rousey walks out from the crowd.
You said Raw.
Oh, I'm sorry, SmackDown. Thank you, Carlos Griffey. Cool, that is why you're here. SmackDown, sorry. Ronda shows up, and we haven't seen Ronda since Liv beat her at SummerSlam. And Ronda says, "I'm not supposed to be here. I was fined a lot of money, but being the best, get suspended. You can get suspended for being the baddest, but I can afford it." She comes out and dumps the money on the table. Security comes out, and Ronda takes down the female security guard. She's escorted out, and Shayna Baszler walks out, and Shayna tells Ronda that's not how things work here. You can't do that. And then Ronda tells Shayna, "You used to be a killer," and then walks off. So
long-term storytelling for their eventual feud. Can't wait to see that.
So that starts off, and then Shayna Baszler.
That was a lot. That was a lot of money, though. Was that real, or like, do you think that was like fake money?
Probably real.
That was a lot. That was a lot of fucking money. I would have took a stack.
Dude, I would have fucking ran in the ring for my life. Shayna gets on the mic and she goes, "I can't wait for Cardiff. I'll put you to sleep, Liv, and I'll walk your lifeless carcass. I'll walk over your lifeless carcass and win the SmackDown Women's title." SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan comes out, and Liv says, "I've beaten Ronda, and I'll beat you soon." And before anything else can happen, Shayna attacks Liv's arm.
He called Ronda a bootleg Ronda Rousey. I mean,
Yes,
I said he called Shayna a bootleg Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Carlos. So after that, Shayna attacks Liv's injured arm, steps on the arm, but Liv is actually able to nail. I call it Trish Stratus's bulldog. She called it Stratusfaction actually. Stratusfaction to Shayna through a table in the ring, even though Liv is injured, she still is able to hold the SmackDown Women's title in the air. Jason Jordan produced that segment too. What did you think of that?
I was happy with that ending. It was cool. I didn't really get like the Ronda thing, like her coming out with a lot of money and then she like. I think that was maybe off script. I think. Yeah, it was good. They're making Liv look strong. Finally, they're champion. They're having her look strong. She wasn't really getting booed that much this week. But yeah, can't wait to see what happens.
Good to see Ronda. Good to see Shayna speaking up, being in the title picture. Liv looks great as usual. Just a lot.
I like how you're like saying who did this segment, who did that segment.
Yeah, I like Jason Jordan did that, so it's interesting to see, everyone's little take on everything. Well, speaking of take, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have the Usos coming out to the ring to make a challenge. And then we also have our main event, the Intercontinental Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura taking on the Intercontinental Champion Gunther. And we have Carlos giving trivia and our special announcement dropping soon. Can't wait for that. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. And just really quick, you can check us out wherever podcasts are streaming. Just type in the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. We are available on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever podcasts are available. It's a 5-star rating. We're also available on YouTube. Just search the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content is created. So before we dive back into SmackDown, we have our special trivia segment here with Carlos Caribbean. Cool. You did pretty decently last week, or the last episode that we did it on. Are you ready for your second round at this?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
And I think you might be, I think you know this subject pretty well. Now, Carlos knows the topic before we do the trivia, but he doesn't know the questions. So the topic is the boss, Sasha Banks. And I'm ready to go when you are, my friend. Are you ready for these questions I have here for you?
I'm ready.
All right. Don't let Sasha down, man. All right.
I won't.
Here is question 1, Carlos. Who did Sasha Banks beat to win her first ever NXT Women's Championship? Okay.
Who she pinned?
Who did she beat? Okay, hang on.
It was
Hang on. Here are your options. A, Charlotte Flair. B, Becky Lynch. C, Bayley. Or D, all 3 women. Who did Sasha beat to win her first NXT Women's Championship?
So you're trying to trick me right now because she pinned Charlotte Flair, but it was a fatal 4-way match. So she won the fatal 4-way match. So I'm gonna say all of them.
You are correct.
I was probably wrong.
You are correct. There you go. She did beat all 3 of them.
But she did pin Charlotte though to win the title, to win the match. Yeah.
He knows his girl, man. All right, next. Here comes the next one. It's a little bit trickier. How many times has Sasha Banks been WWE Raw Women's Champion?
She's a 5-time Raw Women's Champion.
Hang on. Is it A, 3-time, B, 5-time, C, 1-time, or D, 6-time?
B.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
No,
What?
No, I'm joking.
No, stop playing.
I'm joking. You're right.
Stop playing. Okay. All right.
What? No, you are correct, sir. You are correct. Your girl's gonna be proud so far. All right. Last question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What match did Sasha Banks compete in but has never won? Okay. Is it A, the Hell in a Cell match. B, the Steel Cage match. C, Falls Count Anywhere. Or D, the Iron Woman match. What
The
match
Iron Man match. D.
is that your final answer?
Yes.
Carlos, you from now on, I'm just gonna ask you Sasha Banks questions because you are killing it. You won, dude. Sasha will be happy for you, my friend.
What's the prize?
What was that?
What's the prize?
Uh, glory, glory of knowing that you know the boss, Sasha Banks. This kid,
Double.
man, he was gonna bring flowers to her in MSG. I respect.
And she wasn't even there. I mean, she was there because I saw her walk in, but she wasn't even on the show.
We have a big, we'll be doing this again, Carlos, next week. We have a big announcement that we're saving for the end of the show. So let's jump right back into SmackDown. We see Sami Zayn is backstage, and the Usos show up and they laugh about how fast Sami ran. And they're like, don't worry about it. We're going to go out and call out Drew McIntyre.
No, they weren't laughing. They were pissed. Because what?
Well,
they were like, what? Yeah, they were.
They were pissed, but like Jimmy kind of had a smirk on his face. Like they were kind of like they were kind of just like they were mad, but they already look at him as little, so they weren't surprised. I don't think.
Yeah.
So they were like, we're gonna go out and we're gonna call out Drew McIntyre. So the Usos come out to the ring and they challenge Drew McIntyre to it. They're like, find a tag partner and get out here and we'll have a tag match. Right. This match and segment was produced by Michael P.S. Hayes. So, Undisputed Tag Team Champions, the Usos taking on Drew McIntyre, comes down by himself, and Drew starts off in control. Usos then take control of the match, and then Madcap Moss runs down, and he attacks the Usos. So we find out that Moss will be teaming with McIntyre. Sami runs out, distracting Drew, which then leads to the Usos to super kick, double super kick Drew, and the nail flying splash, but McIntyre kicks out after 2. Moss then sends Jey Uso into the guard railing, and Drew nails a Glasgow kiss and a Claymore to Jimmy Uso, getting the 3-count victory for Drew and Moss. After the match, Drew goes to Claymore Jey, but Sami pushes Jey out of the way and takes the Claymore, trying to prove that he is one of the Bloodline guys. I'll take a hit for you. What did you think of that match? I mean, it seems like this match is building up to that moment of Sami Zayn showing his, loyalty to the Bloodline. What do you think?
It was a good match. So yeah, I guess Sammy's trying to prove that he's down with the bloodline. But I just like the Usos walked off. They just like, oh fuck him.
Yeah.
But like Sammy did before too. So they like it's kind of like payback as well.
Yeah, man. It was a good segment. I'm excited to see what's next. We then see the what are they called? The Maxim male. What are they? The
Maximum male model. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. They're backstage and they're posing, and Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo show up, and they pretty much say that they want to be like models, and Max Dupree is like, no, you can't. And he's like, we're not. They're like, we're not talking to you. We're talking to her. And look at Maxine, and I felt them. I was like, dude, I just see her every single time. Loving it. That would be a cool, unique sort of pairing or a unique enemy between the two. They both sort of have the same Lothario character, kind of. They're both good-looking team members, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Well, all right. We have our main event. Jamie Noble actually produced this one. And we have the Intercontinental Champion Gunther with Ludwig Kaiser defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Some things that happened before the match. Ricochet is interviewed backstage, and he laughs about Happy Corbin getting beat last week. And Corbin attacks Ricochet and just sort of walks off. So we know Ricochet and Corbin are going to continue on their rivalry, it seems like. We find out for next week's SmackDowns, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre are going to come face to face. We're going to have a Viking funeral for the New Day, and the women's tag tournaments continue as Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons from NXT take on Natalya and Sonya Deville. So a lot happening next week. let's get to our main event match. Gunther nails a big boot and European uppercuts to Shinsuke Nakamura. Gunther then applies a Boston Crab, which then he turns into an STF, which is really cool to see. Gunther then stomps on Shinsuke's head and nails a big boot. He goes for a flying splash, but Shinsuke is able to lock in a triangle choke. Shinsuke then kicks Gunther's chest numerous times. Gunther nails a drop kick, but Nakamura is able to go for a Kinshasa. But Gunther nails a clothesline that flips Shinsuke Nakamura upside down. Gunther with a drop kick to Shinsuke's back and then nails a power bomb to get the 3 count. I thought something else was going to happen after the match. It was a good match. Jamie Noble produced it. Gunther retaining. I thought he was going to, well, I figured he was going to win. I thought the match was going to have a little bit more to it, but it was a good match. What do you think?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good main event. And did everything that needed to make Gunther kind of look strong. But for some reason, I don't think Gunther and Shinsuke are done.
No, there's probably more to come between those two. And speaking of more to come, before we leave, well, hang on. Tell me your favorite moment of SmackDown.
I like the backstage segments with Sami Zayn and the Usos.
Yeah, the funny where he kept Sammy, get it together, man. For me, my favorite segment was. I'm looking at my notes still over. I really like, to be honest, I like the whole Scarlett coming out, causing mayhem, and I also like the contract signing segment. I like Liv Morgan looking strong after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a decent SmackDown. I give it a B. Or actually, no, that's being nice. I give it a C. I thought it was great. It wasn't terrible, but I thought it could have been a bit better. But listen, it's okay. It's going to get, things are going great. I'm happy. Speaking of things to be happy about, we have a new show here at the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast that is going to debut this Wednesday. It's going to be live on Cooked. It is called No Holds Barred. And in this particular series, Carlos and I, and maybe some special guests down the line, are going to just go over everything WWE. We're going to talk about the biggest moments from Raw and SmackDown and NXT of that week. We're going to do some fun trivia games. We're going to do some biography stuff. A lot of cool, fun things happening. And that will debut on Wednesday. No holds barred. It's going to be no holds barred discussion on everything WWE, pop culture, fun stuff. It's going to be a lot more uncensored. It's not going to be as by the book as this recap is. We're going to go off the hook. We're going to swear probably a lot more. So kids, don't listen.
Yeah.
That will be dropping on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. So excited for No Holds Barred, an extension of the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. But I have talked enough for tonight. SmackDown next week is going to be good. I'm excited to see Drew and Roman finally face off. The Viking Funeral, Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark versus Sonya Deville and Natalya in the Women's Tag Titles Tournament. Raw's coming on later on. We got a lot happening. Clash at the Castle in September. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Carlos, do you have any last words?
That's everything, guys. Stay safe and continue to listen to it.
You know what, dude? Carlos Caribbean Cool just annihilated us in that trivia contest there. Sasha Banks, this dude's got your back, man. So yes, thank you everyone for checking us out. Stay safe, and we will see you with our next episode. But we'll see you Wednesday for No Holds Barred, and we'll see you in the next episode of SmackDown. Stay safe. Bye.
See ya.